Okay, so this is my rationale for the changes that I made. I'm going to do a bit of a recap, so talk about the first couple of slides, and then I'll get into my rationale. Okay, so originally what I said, like education means to me, like a big one was inclusion, and the second one was grades, like having no letter grades, but that'll be in my next PowerPoint slide on my rationale for assessment. But okay, so education means to me for inclusion. So on the first couple of slides, I talked about Stats Canada from 2006 to 2011. 1.1 million immigrated to Canada, and a lot of them were Asian, which included the Middle East in the last 5 years. I also found an article by Carr 2006 saying that between Latino, African Americans, and Asians were better in school. They were more academically focused at school as well as at home. So I then looked into Asian culture. So I thought a big one for me, for my rationale, was reducing stress. And this article was by Haggerty, Lynch, Sawyer, Patuski, Bomesa, and Collier 2015. They talked about mental health and the sense of belonging and caring for students. So these 3 points are absolutely crucial, I think, for students to do well regardless of their level. This kind of falls into inclusion as well. And I supported this in my changes because I decided to present in the class with different videos, even if it was in another language than English. This way, children that don't speak English as first language will benefit because then they're able to see the videos and understand in a different language versus the children who are English as their first language. They also kind of get exposed to other languages, and I'll make some points about this after. I also, all the alterations I made, so this would be color code diagrams and bolding things and just the placement and the organization. This can benefit all children in the classrooms. Now in classes, there is just so many different learning styles and academic levels that are placed in a class, and a teacher is basically just forced to teach all these students, and hopefully they're all at the same level at the end of the year. It's not very realistic, but that's in the real world what it's supposed to be like. But yeah, so having all these things can target different learners. So for visual, and I did a lot of sensory things as well, so then children can learn to touch and feel if that's the way they learn better. And then this is also does include inclusion, because when you have these videos in the children's different language, it's not targeting English speaking students, Korean, Portuguese, Serbian, Bulgarian, and so on. It's making the class as a whole, because we're just communicating, right? And even if you do it in a different language, it makes these children feel proud that they're able to be part of that group. And that really goes back to that other article, for mental health. Having a sense of belonging just gives children so much stress, it gets rid of so much stress, and I can't emphasize that enough. Being new to a country, especially if they're just recently immigrated, and not having people to talk to, and not having a teacher that they can trust, why would they want to learn and have trial and error, some children, especially depending on their self-esteem. Cole Holt 2004 textbook talks about this, is really not overcorrecting children, right? That bothers their confidence and their self-esteem. And when children's self-esteem is really low, it can make them depressed. In that other article, I talked about mental health. And obviously you don't want that in a classroom, but with depression, it can be low grades, and it can go as far as suicidal thoughts. So I think having that sense of belonging, where all children can feel free to do trials and errors, because you want children to be able to feel comfortable that if they do make a mistake, it's okay, and then they can build off of that. Another big thing that I found, based off of my changes, because I wanted to be able to emphasize culture, I put those videos in, but TuneSearch 2012 did an article on language and culture, and they just said like language and culture is very important because it represents that person where they're from, and they should never feel ashamed of that. So I think bringing in these different videos of languages can really help with that, because a lot of time in English speaking classroom we'll learn about like English culture, and we won't always learn about the other like minority groups that are in the classroom. But now with classrooms there's like multicultural, so it brings lots of different students, and like all those students should be proud, and they should all be represented in different ways in the classroom and embraced. But something that TuneSearch 2012 pointed out, that was like, if you do have multiple languages, you just have like a better opportunity at getting a job. And like I think exposing children to different language even at like a young age is great. Even if it's just like a simple word that they learn like hello, it really can get children far. So yeah, that's it.